Oh, I have a treat for you today. We're talking about connected speech, specifically linking. Connected speech is definitely one of the favorite or most exciting chapters for many of my students on my course. They just love learning it. And I'm very excited to talk to you today about one of the most important and probably the most common part of connected speech in English, which is linking. Why? Why do we connect our speech? What's the point? Well, it's to make our words join together, to allow us to sound more fluent, to let our speech flow like a river very comfortably. It kind of stops us sounding like a robot. So what is linking? Linking is when we join a consonant at the end of a word to the vowel at the beginning of the next word. Let's take a phrasal verb. It happens a lot in phrasal verbs. Watch out. If I have a friend and he's about to be hit by something like a car, he's standing in the road and a car's about to hit him, I probably wouldn't say, watch out. Watch out, right? You see how I've joined those two things together and it's flowing together nicely. Watch out. Look out. Now remember, this is really important. It's not about the spelling, it's about the sound at the end of the word. So if it's a consonant sound, if we have a word like once, it ends with an E, right? That's the spelling, but the actual final sound is a S, once. So if we had once in, we would use that S sound, once in a while, once in a while. We're joining all of that together. So we know the rules. It does get more complicated. There are some things I need to talk to you about when we do it with an R, when we do it with a T, when we do it with an L, and that will come a little bit later in this lesson. First, I think we should probably do some practice mini sentences. I went outside today. I went outside today. So went ends with a T, that's a consonant sound, and out begins with ow, which is a diphthong, which is also classed as a vowel sound. So went out. Imagine it as a bridge. We're bridging the two sounds together. Went out. Went out. Went out. Sounds better when you speak faster. I went outside today. When is it? When is it? When is it? What is it? What is it? Turn off the light. Turn off the light. There are a lot of people here. This one's a bit more challenging. I'm going to talk more about this later, but we use the word are to join these two together. There are a lot of people here. There are a lot of. There are a lot of. There are a lot of people here. Again, this would sound better than me just saying, there are a lot of people here. There are a lot of people here. Now that is a really difficult one. If you can do it, I'm impressed. So I guess that's kind of a good time for me to start talking about these difficult situations, such as when we connect our speech with an R, there are. So in English, specifically modern received pronunciation or RP, we are taught not to pronounce the R at the end of words. That's because we speak in what we call a non-rhotic accent, which simply means we don't pronounce the R as much as, let's say, an American does, where they always pronounce them in most American accents. Sometimes we can use that R as a bridge, as a connector, and if it's there in the spelling, but it's not there in the pronunciation, we can use it if the next word begins with a vowel. Where? There's an R there, and phonetically we could place that at the end of the word, right? Where are you? Where are you? The teacher is cool. So usually in RP we would say teacher. We don't pronounce the R at the end, it's replaced with what we call a schwa sound. However, in this case, because we have is next, we can use that R to connect our speech and it will sound completely British. The teacher is cool. The teacher is. The teacher is. My mother is amazing. My mother is. So we're using the R. My mother is. My mother is amazing. We're using the Z at the end of is to join to amazing as well, because amazing begins with a vowel. My mother is amazing. Okay, so we're going to use the R, and it might feel weird. I've had students in my course tell me that it's a bit kind of strange because I've been teaching them not to pronounce the R at the end of words, and suddenly now we have to do it. but this is what takes you up to that next level of speaking. Another interesting one is when we link with an L. In received pronunciation, a word which ends with an L will be what we call a dark L. A dark L is not quite the same as a light L. So a light L is a l sound, like in yellow, where we flick the tongue from the top of the mouth to the bottom of the mouth. Now a dark L is when we just press the tongue very gently against the back of the top teeth. You see my mouth shape as well. For example, hill, will, pill. However, again, although we're taught that we should be pronouncing the dark L, at the end of words, can you guess what I'm going to say? If the next word begins with a vowel sound, it's going to change to a light L. Yes, just to make things more complicated. So, he will always be my friend. He will always. So we're changing it to a L sound because it needs to join to a vowel. He will always be my friend. Can you smell it? Can you smell Can you smell it? Can you smell it? Another point I'd like to make is about the T. In most American accents, when they connect their speech with a T, they will change it to what we call a flap T. So they do this in words like better. They'd say better, right? With a D sound. D. It's basically like a D, right? D sound. And this also carries through into connected speech. So for example, a lot of, an American might say a lot of, or a lotta, right? So they do this D sound. If you're trying to stick to a received pronunciation, a British accent, just pronounce it as a T. Did you hear me then? Pronounce it as a T. An American would say pronounce it as a... It is actually easier to do this kind of flap T, right? But you can do both, you can mess around, it's okay. One of the ways I recommend a lot of my students practice and send me voice messages of is day-to-day things, because these are things you're actually going to say in your day-to-day life. I'm looking at. Now it's quite difficult to join the ng sound, but again, that's something we do. I'm looking at my screen. I type on my keyboard. I type on my keyboard. I stand at my desk. I stand at my desk. So now, quick task. Think about 3 to 5 things you do every day. Wake up, for example. There you go, there's some connected speech. Try to find some situations where you can connect your speech and relate it to your day-to-day life. It's a great way to practice. Another good option is using phrasal verb. For example, shut up, watch out, get off, look up, come in, come off, pop out, heat up. There are so many phrasal verbs where the first word ends with a consonant and the second word begins with a vowel. So another great thing that you can experiment with. Read books. Look for situations where you see a consonant followed by a vowel. You'll see it so many times. Another great way to practice. Another challenge I could set for you is to watch this video again and try to note down every time you hear me connect my speech. Now, just a quick disclaimer, you don't need to connect your speech every time. If you're speaking and then suddenly, after you've spoken, you realize, oh, I just missed a consonant and a vowel combination. What do? I didn't do it. It's fine. You don't need to do it every time. Just where it feels right. Remember, there are many other types of connected speech. If you're interested in working with me on your pronunciation, there's a whole chapter about this. There's a chapter on everything, vowels, consonants, diphthongs, and you also have me on WhatsApp to practice with and to be corrected. So if that's for you, head over to the website, etjenglish.com, and we can start working together right now. As always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. Cheers, guys. Bye.